Hi guys, Ben Logan with Kritter Kribs. I got a fun one here today. This is our new squirrel house, and this is our squirrel feeder. These are going to be unpainted kits that you can assemble. These are painted models. I just threw these together just to give an idea. A lot of people don't have the imagination what something can look like once it's painted. So these are just some examples of what that will look like. In a minute, I'm going to assemble one from start to finish so you can see how the kit and how easy it is to assemble. I want to give you a little tour of this first. A lot of squirrel houses on the market. Out there, they're going to be a little different than this. I feel like this is a much higher quality unit. One of the things that really stands out here is in-house we made this roof. So this is a plastic roof. It looks like metal. It comes white. You actually can paint it any color you want. I painted this one copper and that one silver just to demonstrate how they can look. Got a nice drip edge. It's going to send water away from the house. This is an exterior ply that is constructed of. I cut some lines in it to kind of give it that aesthetic appeal that kind of looks like shiplap going up the side. So when it's painted, just kind of breaks things up. It's got two entrance holes here. So this is actually going to allow the squirrel to enter from either side of the porch. And if there's a predator or something bothering the squirrel, it has another way to exit the house. It also has the large porch where they can lounge on and enjoy that full access all the way around. It's actually, if you look at it, it goes right to the tree where it would mount to the tree on this side, and then it's short on that side. So the squirrel actually has the ability to crawl up if it wanted and get in that way too. So really fun little design, super easy to assemble, and gives you something to put in your backyard to enjoy nature. This is the squirrel feeder. This one's another fun one. I use the same roof. There's a lot of tooling involved to make a roof like that, so I just kept with the same dimensions. I like it. It's got a plexiglass on the inside. Again, this is a kit that easily assembles. It all interlocks. I'm not going to show you how to assemble this one today, but I'll make another video. And then, of course, I've got the lid so it just opens right up. So when you fasten this to the tree, you can easily fill this up with your nuts, your peanuts, your corn, and be watching squirrels within probably just a few minutes of filling that thing up. So let's go ahead and let's build that. These are all the pieces that you're going to need to put together your squirrel house. Like I said, these are all pre-made by us and they're going to be shipped right to your door. So let's go ahead and put this thing together. There's no real sequence that you have to do to assemble this, but we're going to start with the roof just because it's a place to start. This is the roof piece. You can see the shape of it. We're going to start with these two pieces. These are going to be the trim moldings that actually fasten the roof on, and you can see that they're slotted, so they fit right in. You can go ahead and screw these, but just for the sake of being really strong, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw a little bit of waterproof wood glue on here, and I'm going to put it right on that mortise and tenon joint. And I'm going to press it right in to this side, and I'm going to do the same on this one. One feature you want to do when you assemble this, you just want to make sure that your miters on the end of these are going to be lined up correctly. So the way you can tell by that is those miters are facing this direction and butted right up. If you were to put it this way, you can see that that's not correct. So the correct way to put it on is there, and if you always wanted, you could kind of dry fit it to the house and just make sure it lines up. So we're going to flip that over and we're going to go to our hardware kit here, and I'm just going to grab 4 1.25 inch screws. The 1.25 inch are gold, pretty easy to identify here, and we're going to screw that right into that ply right there. And when you put it in, you don't want to over torque it or strip it out. It's already glued and it's got a joint like this, so we're just using this as a clamp really. So that's going to go right in. And you're putting it in the plywood, so you want to make sure that you're nice and vertical going in, nice and center, because you don't want to split the plywood and drift off to the side. So take a little bit of care doing that. Pretty easy step. The next is we've got our white thermoformed lid that perfectly fits on this piece of ply, just like that. So at this stage, you could paint this, but we're just going to put on because you can always paint it later. What we use for this is a 1/2 inch sheet metal screw with a little rubber washer, and that's going to keep the roof watertight. And what I like to do is just pick a spot and keep it symmetrical. So you see I'm 1, 2. We're going to go on the second one in and do the same on this side. So we go 1, 2, second one in, kind of make sure it's the same distance down. Always nice to keep things proportional. It's going to look a lot better visually, even though this is going to be 15 feet off the ground. These could really go anywhere. I just feel like this is a good spot for it as any. All right, now our roof is fastened and that can be painted later. We're going to set that right to the side as that is done. All right, next up, we're gonna start with the floor. This is the floor of the house, and you can see again, it's tabbed to perfectly fit and give you alignment. So you could virtually take the sides and the front and just snap the thing together like this. I was originally gonna have the screws go right into the plywood, but I opted to actually put 2x2s on the inside just to give it a little more strength, kind of like internal framing. So the way that, easy way to do this to identify, I've got these 2x4s or 2x2s right here. The longest ones are gonna be on the back. So the back is the flat side here. The second ones are on the front. I'm gonna show you how this goes, and then there's some really short ones. I'll show you where those go in a minute. So get your floor, pick which side that you want to be the inside. There's some knots on this side. This side's real clear, and since it sits in the tree, I'm gonna have this as my bottom side. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my long 2x2 here, and I'm going to line it up with that hole right here, and I'm gonna screw it in. The trick is when you screw it in, you just wanna make sure that you're not overhanging, because that plywood, you want it to sit flush to this 2x2. So just line it up here. And go ahead and flip it around to the other side. All right, once you have your 2x2s fastened to that flat side without the tab, so you got your long 2x2s fastened to this side, we're gonna rotate it around, and we're gonna do the shorter, not the shortest, but the second shortest, right here on the front, and that will be the framing for our the actual side. So go ahead and fasten those on. All right, once you have these 4 2x2s fastened with your 1 1/4 screws through the bottom and everything's nice and flush against the wood, you're ready to assemble the sides. Like I said, you could have easily put this together without the 2x2s. I added the 2x2s for more strength, and you can see when they go on, they just back up that plywood, and they all interlock. The bottom interlocks into the floor here, so that's just there for added strength. I do think that it improves the design though. So let's go ahead and we'll put the side on. When you put the side on, all you want to do is make sure that your tab goes in with the floor here. You know you're on the right side because all your slotted lines are decorative for the outside, and the long 2x4 goes against the long side of the plywood. So all we have to do is take this, get a 1 1/4 screw. I'm going to put it actually right in the top, so just make sure you're all the way down in your slotted area there. And then put that together. Make sure your 2x4 or 2x2 here is flush with the plywood. And I'm just going to put one in each side to hold it, and we're just going to go right onto the other side. So again, this one, you're just going to make sure that it's not sitting above that tab. It's flush right here. Plywood, boom. Flip it over. Do the same thing to the other side here. It's going to go right on. Make sure you're flush up with the wood. Screw that in. Same thing on the bottom. All right, now let's flip it this way. We can grab either the front, the back. We're on the back side right now. So you can identify the lower part of the back has the tab here. These slots are gonna line you right up. This is just fits together like a glove, guys. It's nice and tight joints, keeps it nice and strong. And once again, we're just gonna go ahead and we're gonna just put 2 in there to tack it together. We can add them once it's fully assembled, but just put a couple in there and kind of dry fit it together. Now we're gonna flip this over. All right, now this short piece is actually gonna go right here in the front. And the reason I made it short was nice fit there, and just threw the screws in, was just for this front porch to actually slide in, which I'm gonna show you how to do in a minute. So just go ahead and tack these 2 in, and I'll be right back with you. All right, at this point, you could add the rest of those screws right into this house, but you can see it's nice and rigid, just even with the couple we have because of the interlocking joints here. The next step, we're actually gonna add some dowels into this. So let me go. The reason I added the dowels was actually just a quick solution for supporting this porch. Once this all slides together, this does screw together. I was worried about moisture distorting this, and instead of running a screw through the plywood, I just threw some dowels in there. You can use dowels, you could put a screw in it, or you could probably just leave it. I'm gonna show you how to put the dowels in. They come with the kit. The glue is not included, so if you do glue the dowels in, you will need some wood glue. But all you need is a little dab right here. And those 2 little holes right there, I like to spin the dowel around a bit, and then just make sure it's flush on the inside there. And once that sets up, that will be a nice solid support. You're gonna see what I'm talking about in a minute. So we got 4 total, 2 on this side, 2 on the other side. Spin that around. It's kind of hard to explain until it's all together, but you're going to see in a second what these are for.
Oh.
All right, there we go. You can see that we have both our dowels, and that's going to create a guide. So this piece right here is what I call the front porch. This is just going to slide right in. You see where these 2x2s are here? These holes are going to fasten into that, and this just literally slides together just like a glove. Look at that. So you can see where those dowels now kind of support that on the back end of it. And then we're just going to screw in with it's an 1.25 inches pretty much the whole way around, except for one spot, the roof and the sides here. But we're going to just go ahead and screw that in here. That's going directly into that 2x2. It's another reason I put it there. But that's just going to keep it super rigid. And one of the things you can see on this is the baffled on the inside that prevents predators, gives a step for the squirrels coming in. Now that the little porch is in here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put these small 2x2s on the inside. There's already a hole. Just go ahead and grab your 1.25 screw. Make sure you're flush again like we did before. And throw that in there. Do the same to the other side. All right, this is a little plate that actually goes right on these 2x2s. You can see we put the 2x2s here, and it actually really locks in this front porch. If you wanted to, guys, this is just a tip. Before you put the porch in, before you put this in, I stain these with a animal safe stain or sealer. It was a sealer, I think, by Thompson's, actually. And I use a Bear paint as actually exterior stain, and it's safe for animals, non-toxic. So I do the whole house in that, and then I added the stained pieces onto it, and it gives it that nice level of contrast, and it also keeps it crisp, so you're not having to paint them separate. But that's just a tip. Another side tip is, if you want to buy paint and save a lot of money, if you go to Home Depot, they have the mini cans that are like $4 or $5. They're for sampling your deck, so you can get it and you can sample a siding or your deck. If you just buy that, it will do like 2 of these. So just it's a good way to save money and have a bunch of colors in there. They do the same actually with the stain too. So you can get away really cheaply with finishing these. So the next step is we're just going to put this plate on. We're going to put it right here. I do think sometime in the future, it's not on this model because I just started making this. I'm going to get a laser. I'm going to laser in critterkribs.com and maybe a squirrel or like the Nut Hut or something on here. But that will be down the line to if we start selling, well, just to dress it up. And then the last thing would be to just put the roof on, guys. So you see the roof, we've got our sides, it perfectly fits on there. You just want to line it up where those miters I talked about are lined up with it. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to use a 3/4 inch screw to hold this on. If you were to use the longer 1.25 inch that we've been using the whole time, I'm afraid they might poke through and be sharp on the inside, and you don't want that. So just go ahead and put those in. There's 4 there. So there you go, guys. We've got our finished Kritter Kribs, minus a few screws that I didn't add just for the sake of the video. When you go to mount this, like I said, there's a mounting thing here, and there's a mounting on the inside. So you'd have to unscrew the roof and screw it to the tree. I will provide the screws to screw it all together. And when you clean it out, you just unbolt this and this comes right off and you can clean it out. So super simple design, guys. Enjoy building it. Would love to see the pictures of when you complete your Kritter Kribs squirrel house. Thanks. Bye. All right, guys, I'm up here on the ladder. We're hanging the squirrel house. You can see it's a long way down here. And the way you do it is you put this bottom screw in. I have a spacer behind it. You can use it or not use it. You have the roof off. You put the top screw in, and then you fasten the roof. And that is how you put it on the actual tree, because the hardware is hidden behind the roof.